Hello everyone, this is FrameFest. I'm Martin Roselli and I'm here with my dear friend.
Nico Pickle. It's good to be here.
Great. Hey Mike.
What's up, man?
How are you doing?
I'm not bad, man. Not bad. I've been struggling for content, so I'm glad I have some kind of platform to just speak my mind. It feels good.
Yep, same here. So basically the idea, guys, here is that we will be recording this podcast hopefully weekly. We'll see if we can manage. And it's a very casual thing. We're going to be talking about video games and anime. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that only like the one of the two, so bear with us. Hopefully, we may try to keep them a little bit separate, but not too much. And otherwise, there's plenty of great podcasts out there for you of both topics.
This is more just a very casual sort of thing. We've been planning to do stuff like this for a little while, and I think it is, as you said, it's a very good place to just kind of let loose, And there's no real exact plan for the podcast. It's more just we like to speak our mind, and we needed some kind of way to do so. And I think this is a good way to interact with you guys as well, because I've noticed that also we recently actually hit 10,000 views on a main Abyss video I made a little while ago. So I've noticed...
Nice. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I've actually noticed, though, that a fair amount of my audience does like the anime aspect of things, but I also know that those who've stuck around for a while love the gaming. So hopefully we just give you the best of both worlds in this small little podcast series.
Yep. Obviously, we're very much open to suggestions. For now, the sound quality, this is what it's going to be. I hope it's okay. But any suggestions regarding the nature of the podcast, the topics, our individual performances, I'm especially insecure about that. Other than that, any feedback is welcome.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it. Be good.
And I guess we should probably start talking about what do we think the podcast is going to be like what do we want to talk about, maybe in general in the coming weeks, what you can expect, and also what we're going to talk about today. Today's going to be very non-structured. It's very improvised, especially today, because we're going to see where this takes us. So Mike, any ideas for today?
Yeah, well, I mean, naturally it's more of just an introduction of what we're all about, but I think we'll probably talk a bit into some of our own personal favorite games as well as animes. Sort of kind of just go off on a whim, really. I think, as Martin's mentioned before, this podcast or this series is very dependent on the community aspect. It's more what you guys kind of want to see as well as what we want to talk about, and we try to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
But I think today, it's just a bit about who we are and the sort of things we're into.
Yep. And especially so, talking now that you mentioned the community stuff, this goes without saying, but we would really appreciate it if you could share this with everyone you think may like it. And like I said, be part of the conversation. Tell us, what do you think? What do you want? You mentioned a second ago, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
All good. I was actually also wanted to bring up a point though. We actually aren't we're not too sure as to whether or not this content will work or not. So we're still very passionate. We still really want to try it out because it's a lot of fun for us. But we want to know also if you guys would like this on the Make a Pickle channel itself, uploaded weekly, or if you want a personal channel all to itself that caters to the kind of content. I know it's very different to the sort of thing that I've ever done, but it is something I've really wanted to do. And I think it'd be great to share with as many people as possible. But at the same time, Martin and I are very content with the idea of giving it to very little people, providing those people would actually listen and just have a hear of what we have to say.
Yep. And at the same time, we're doing this, for the moment at least, only in audio form. So if you don't want this on your YouTube feed and you still want to listen to it and stuff, but you don't want to subscribe to one more YouTube channel or stuff like that, eventually, hopefully in an episode or two, we're going to give you list of places you can go to subscribe to this and listen to it on the bus and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all a matter of kick back and relax, fellas, because today will be a very laid back episode, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I guess we should probably start talking about who we are.
Yeah.
I mean, people probably know you, especially if they're watching this on YouTube, but go ahead.
Well, my name is Nico Pickle. I started YouTube, I think 4 years ago, well, on the Make a Pickle channel itself. Before that, I belonged to another channel, a very small channel called the Soshi Complex. That was an experience.
I did not know about this channel.
Here's the thing. Not many people should. So it started way back in high school, right? It started way back. And the plan with it was that it was going to be a group channel with 3 of my friends. And when we first started it, we were so enthusiastic about it. We had like a channel logo and everything. We had a great like layout. The problem was there was no videos on that channel. I was the only person who uploaded on the group channel. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And I kind of parted ways.
Feels bad, man.
Well, we're all friends in real life. There's no harm done. But yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I think it all started back then. It was a long while ago. But yeah, the current channel that is the Mickle Pickle, that was about 4 or 5 years ago, I would say.
Great.
Introduce yourself, buddy.
Of course, I am Say Stuff in any kind of media. That's Say Stuff with an E. It originally started because I wanted to make a name that sounded similar to something else, but not quite. Great mistake, because now everyone, like, explaining how to spell it is a nightmare. It's SEY stuff, as in stuff in general. Usually you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, stuff like that. I haven't streamed in a couple months now because I went on a trip and I haven't quite like bounced back in general. But I like streaming stuff like Dark Souls, MTG, that is Magic the Gathering, or just any games in general. I feel like I like to stream. I would like to stream Nintendo games, but I don't have any capture cards. I can stream PlayStation games straight up from my PlayStation, even without a camera, and I don't have an Xbox. So that pretty much covers it all. Regarding anime, why don't we like talk a little bit about either like our initial experiences, or what do we like in general?
Yeah, well, I mean, anime by far is the bigger topic of interest for me personally. I love gaming to an unorthodox extent, but anime is such a big part of, I guess, everything to me. Not that it's like I see it everywhere I go or whatever, but when I first got introduced to anime, I never put it down. You know, there were times in my life where gaming was kind of on the side, but anime was kind of just always there. Personally, when it comes to my taste in anime, it's very diverse. But fun fact, Say Stuff is the very person who introduced me to my favorite anime, Made in Abyss. I could go on for hours and
don't worry, we will have a Made in Abyss episode.
Oh, we better. No,
we will.
That'll be a flat 7 or 8 hour talk.
By the same token, I promise you that we will have either a Crash episode, or a Dark Souls episode, or both.
Very good. Oh, dude.
Me, when it comes to anime, I personally have a lot of story with it. Like, I used to be like you, so basically what you're saying is, if you had to give up one, you would keep anime.
I would keep anime, correct.
I've been like you, like many years ago. Now it's hard for me to pick because I had like a very downtime phase. Not because I like fell off of anime or anything. Like I never felt like I don't like anime anymore. I just didn't watch anything for a bit just because. Like it was something that just happened. And when I was younger, when I was in high school and stuff, I was really scared that I would like, quote unquote, grow out of anime.
Right.
But in reality, you then realize that you instead mature into this state where you appreciate animation in general.
Yeah.
And just storytelling. And I think that's a little bit of it. Like anime is such a diverse thing. Mm-hmm. Like gaming is too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
completely.
Absolutely.
But there are so many kinds of, for lack of a better term, weird shit in anime.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah, there's some creepy stuff out there, but there's like, you will never find stuff like Full Metal Alchemist anywhere else.
Very true.
You will now, but you wouldn't, like, you will because there's stuff like Full Metal Alchemist in anime.
There's only certain stories that can be told in like an animated format. There is no way to recapture some of the set events in that anime that have occurred through live action, as an example, or even just through text. Like, I don't think you could ever explain and demonstrate everything that isn't in anime in a purely dialogue form. Yep. Like, everything kind of contributes. You know, you have your music, you have the animation.
There is like novels.
So, I guess.
But I get what you mean. Like, it's hard to explain. like the thing is, if you were to go to another media, and I love other media,
Mhm.
obviously I read books, I watch movies, I watch TVs, etc., etc., etc.
Naturally.
But if you were to go to say movies, it's like one every 4 anime or something like that is as unique and crazy as Star Wars.
Right.
Like, and Star Wars is like a very unique thing. I know
Absolutely.
you got a lot of sci-fi there because Star Wars was at the beginning of a genre, and now there's a lot of like science fantasy, science fiction, and stuff. But it's like, I don't know about you, but every 3 years or so, I feel like there's a new anime genre. Well, not a new, but an anime that almost is a new genre. Almost.
Yeah. I don't think like anything could be in terms of revolutionary in scale as Star Wars, but I know exactly what you mean. Like,
Well, there's always Evangelion.
that is true. That is true. Fun fact: I was actually watching the rebuilds not too long ago.
Nice.
Yeah, they're very weird.
Still waiting for that 4th one.
Oh, dude, how long has it been since the Evangelion redo came out?
It's been long enough that Hideaki Anno moved on to make Shin Godzilla,
Yep.
and it's been like 2 years from that.
Jeez, come on. But yeah, like, I don't think anything is as revolutionary scaled like Star Wars. But you're right in the sense that every 3 or so months, some kind of anime just pops out of nowhere, and it just takes the world by storm. I mean, an example being My Hero Academia, which, I mean, when that first came out, it had positive reviews, and people thought it was interesting, but it's grown into something even bigger that's become almost it's almost like a huge idea that's cemented in anime now.
The thing with Hiroaka, I feel, is like My Hero Academia. I feel it's like, it's not that it's that unique in what it presents, but it's so strong. Like,
Yeah.
it does what it does so well.
Absolutely.
It's so emotional, so strong. Like, I always remember the way they expressed the anger in Yeren's eyes in Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something Attack on Titan does really, really well.
Oh, absolutely.
And here is like 1 every 2 characters is like that.
Yeah.
And not just with anger. Like, there's this moment in like the first episode of the 2nd season of Hiroaka where they juxtapose the scene where Deku is like crying with his mom, hugging her and going like, "I'm sorry, Deku, I'm sorry, you can't be a hero." And he's thinking, "No, mom, what you should have told me is
You can be a hero.
you can be a hero." And then straight up they move into the scene where All Might, that is like this also important hero, tells him, "You can be a hero."
Absolutely.
That, like, even now speaking about it, I get the chills.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
It's by far the best recollection episode ever. It's so brilliant.
You know, I think you'd be right in terms of recollection, but in terms of the best episode so far.
Are you going to challenge this?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Okay. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything because it is the newest episode that did come out. But do you remember how we've had conversations in the past? We've said stuff like, Violet Evergarden's episode where you get that entire child's arc, her story and her mother. Like I said, that was the best episode. Then I was like, no, Darling in the Franxx came out with like a childhood episode of Hero and Zero Two, and I was like, that's the best episode. This completely tops everything I have seen in the past 2 years.
Yeah, what I should say, like, we're going to have an episode on Violet Evergarden.
Oh,
like,
absolutely. Please.
Like,
please.
come on.
Please.
But what I should point out, though, is that what I mean by recollection episode is, because there's another term that I can't remember right now, is an episode that is made of clips of previous episodes.
No, I understand that.
A retelling.
Yeah, I understand that. That was literally the first episode in season 2, as you said, as well as the newest episode in season 3.
Yeah, they did one.
But I think I could totally agree that in season 2's recollection episode was probably the best montage episode I've seen in anime to date. I must be honest. I haven't seen anything that's kind of made retelling of the story interesting. But in terms of like what I think was the most powerful moment, I think in the newest episode there is literally 20 to 30 seconds that absolutely toppled anything I had seen.
I'm not surprised from Hiroaka. That's like see, every now and then an anime tops itself or tops other animes, and that's like a huge achievement.
Yeah.
For Hiroaka, that's Thursday.
It tends to go overboard, doesn't it?
It's amazing. Did you watch the last episode
Yeah,
from this weekend?
yeah, absolutely.
How amazing is that episode?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it is because they don't do that many new or unique or stuff that hasn't been done before in that episode, but they built the characters so well. So
Absolutely.
That episode is amazing. And another thing they do that I really, really appreciate is that they actually move the story forward.
Mhm.
Like there's actual progress in the characters. It doesn't feel like you're watching like Monster of the Week show where like the character is stuck in this perpetual state of one day I'm gonna be the greatest hero
and then never become it.
Yeah.
No, in this case, yeah, it's awesome because like I mean when you first start the anime, you know, Deku's so content on wanting to be a hero that he looks up to All Might. He deems All Might his hero, and yet in this new episode, you know, Deku takes on the
He's
role.
finally starting to take the torch.
He becomes somebody else's hero.
By the way, I should point out that I'm trying to avoid spoiler, guys. Like minor stuff like Deku is important in this episode. Duh.
Yeah.
But if we ever start talking about like serious spoilers, we will give a warning. And
Absolutely.
even if we forget, I will try to add it on post.
Yeah.
And then like even if possible, give you the exact minute you gotta jump to.
Yeah, it's like even like provide like a timestamp so they just know like skip here and we're done with that part of the conversation. It's always helpful.
Speaking of switching topics a little bit, I'm not very good with segues, clearly. But I want you to tell us, correct me if I'm wrong, but Crash is your favorite video game.
Okay, so favorite gaming franchise is Final Fantasy, but my favorite game of all time.
Well, that's a very good pick.
Thank you. Even though it's a subjective thing, I'm thankful.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, like, it's very unlikely, you will find people, because they're all a single genre, but it's very unlikely to find someone who likes not a single Final Fantasy.
That's
unless
true.
they haven't played any.
Honestly, that's true. Of most people that I've talked about the entire franchise, none have said anything bad about the whole series as a whole.
Funny enough, today as I was editing the current episode of, it's still not out, it will be out before this one, the Nintendo Pride podcast, and one of the guys there mentioned that he hates JRPGs because he hates turn-based combat.
Interesting.
And that's what he said, like, unless they're like very specific, because all Final Fantasies are either JRPGs or almost JRPGs. I'm thinking stuff like tactics and stuff. So, like I said, it is unlikely that you will find someone who likes not a single Final Fantasy unless they haven't played any, with the exception of people who really don't like the genre. Obviously.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, like, when I think about turn-based system, like, I mean, yeah, it used to be very prevalent. Like, I mean, I'm talking from Final Fantasy 1 all the way till, I think, 10. They kept the turn-based.
There's still games coming up.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler hasn't come out yet, and it's turn-based.
I mean, but there are other exceptions to the turn-based system that they kind of stay to the true roots of it, but they also expand a little. An example being Final Fantasy 12, where your attacks are gauged based on a certain time, kind of like the turn-based system, but when you select an attack, it doesn't just pop straight away.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's very common. They do a lot of improvements, and like I feel like you could say that there's two kinds. The kind of improvements that game like Final Fantasy X or sorry, I got the name on the tip of my tongue. Bravely Default.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like improvements that are like original and different, but they are mostly meant to be an extension of the turn-based system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's like changes or improvements that are made in the purpose of making turn-based system more action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's a lot of people who can't stand the chess-like nature of it, and would like, they still like to think and like proper. I'm not saying that people who don't play RPGs don't think, come on, but they still like to take the time to make the strategic decisions, but they like to have the pressure of action. They like to feel the combat to be like a little bit more God of War-y.
Yeah,
like,
I think,
and that's stuff like where the action time gauge. Oh crap! I don't know the name of it.
Turn-based.
I know it's ATB.
Okay. Oh right. That's interesting because like I know some people that don't like the turn-based system. They've told me about the stress of every decision you make, and I'm like, I kind of get that, but at the same time,
yeah, that happens.
At the same time, I kind of love the idea that you'll get punished if you don't make the right move. But I guess also people like the flexibility of being like, okay, well, if I have the ability to like run around as an example and have that time to recollect on ideas and think strategically in the moment, then that's great. But I know some people like myself, I'm totally content with just sitting there going, what do I do next? Like, what's the plan of attack? But I think people like just the fast pace and the constant do this, do that, you know?
Yeah, because I'm a little bit like you in that sense. I love the idea. I love mind games. I love everything that is cerebral. So I really like the idea of having to think a couple steps ahead.
Yeah.
And I feel like the deal is that a lot of people like to feel the action, the adrenaline.
Yeah, that's
and this kind of stuff becomes a little bit boring to them, becomes a little bit too slow, like there's no pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what stuff like the ATB gauge are meant to improve on, because you constantly have like a pressure to go on.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the thing you mentioned about the decision, it's like a proper scientific thing. Like there actually is a term called decision paralysis, when it's like you have so many options that it's impossible to make a decision. Like you biologically stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I know a couple of people that are like that, to be honest. Some people that just kind of shut off when they're put in situations where they know if they make the wrong move, it's all over. But in regards to favorite game, so here's the thing. Insane Trilogy, when it came out, I was overwhelmed. Like I went to the midnight release naturally.
Because it's a full remake, right? It's not even a remaster.
No. It's literally taking the bases of the games and remaking them from the ground up.
Yeah, so basically what they did is take, for like people interested or people who don't know the game, unlikely, but still, what they did is they took all the level design, the character design, all the stuff from the original trilogy, and then made an entire new engine, new assets, stuff like that, so that the game looks good.
Yeah.
It's similar to the case with Final Fantasy IV.
That's true. Yeah, because they put that to the DS, didn't they?
Yep. Except that the art style in Crash Bandicoot is a lot more loyal to the original.
Oh yeah,
for obvious reasons.
Absolutely. I mean, they think about Naughty Dog because they had so much pressure on them to make sure they get this right. You know, they had to, because the biggest market for Insane Trilogy was naturally the nostalgia. They're going, we need to give it to people that have experienced or want to experience this once again. And I think in that they went, all right, every visual decision, platform decision we make must respect those old traditions.
Yes. And it's interesting because they haven't done a game like this in a long time.
Yeah.
But they, like, the games they have been making, although very different, like, they're very good at it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know a lot of people out there don't like them because on the basis that are like, the design in them is very non-ludic. Like, there's a lot of stuff like, for example, when you're playing Uncharted, you just go through a linear prescripted cutscene, and if you fail, you're put in the exact same position. You just gotta keep going. Like, it's almost a walking simulator with like a little bit of combat and stuff. But that's not the point. Like, they don't do that because they can't do anything else. They do that because they went at some point in their history, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something traditional because that's essentially traditional gaming right now in AAA industry, but we're gonna polish it to the shine.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they did.
Nah, that's it. Exactly.
And because, you know, for other people, for people that like more ludic things, there's Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, but this is gonna be hard for me to say. So when the game first came out, I was non-stop praising it like it was like a godsend, right?
Yeah.
I completed the game naturally. I've got my platinum trophies. It took so long, but it's done. But then I realized, like, after beating it and looking at a bunch of comments, the game absolutely it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. But it actually isn't as perfect as I thought when you take it away from the nostalgia. If you play the game as it is...
Well, that's a very, like, mature and appropriate thing for you to do. I'm very proud.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, like, if you take away just the huge impact of it from a long time ago, the game is pretty bland. I noticed that when I was playing.
Are you sure that's not just the age of the design? Because this game was designed
Here's the
10,
thing.
15 years ago?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because the purpose from what it seemed was that the game was supposed to rekindle the flames that was Crash Bandicoot but in its original trio, right?
Oh, that phrasing.
But in doing so, they may have brought to attention just how limited the game actually is. It's not a bad game. I love it, don't get me wrong. But after realizing that, I went, I don't think it is my favorite game anymore. That's a big thing. That's a big thing to say. So I'm chucking it all because I remember on my Crunchyroll profile, it's like my favorite game, Crash Bandicoot, easily. I'm like sitting here
So
going,
you're saying that it came down a little bit, not too much. Still, you still love it a little bit because playing it again, you've realized flaws of it.
yeah.
That's fascinating.
I was so blinded when I first bought it because like the excitement overtook me. I bought it on the day it came out. I bought it in the midnight release, and the moment I got it, I went home and recorded it. And I was recording the video, the gaming segments naturally. But yeah, I noticed after replaying it that it's a great game, but it's not as special as I thought it was. It's a beautiful game and it brings back a lot of childhood memories and whatnot. But the game as itself, I realized that I'm doing it an injustice by saying it is the best game ever when games like Final Fantasy IX, which is an exceptionally beautiful game, which I cannot recommend enough, as well as the new Tomb Raider games, the previous Tomb Raider games. Yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
Well, I guess the two things you gotta take out from this is like, first, you can't really ever say that X is the best game ever made. I can confidently say that Dark Souls 1 has the best game design, and I feel like an asshole even saying just that. And the other thing is that your favorite game doesn't have to be the game that you think is best. It's okay for a game to be your favorite game because of nostalgia. It's okay for you to love it.
I'm glad you said that because I've done some reflecting, and
for the record, Dark Souls is not my favorite game.
I can imagine, and if it is your favorite game, that is terrifying. It's Bloodborne. Oh no, Bloodborne's good. Bloodborne, like, it's a hard game. Don't get me wrong. It's very difficult. I'm still not finished with it. But I would rather play Bloodborne than any of the 3 Dark Souls games again.
Are you curious? No, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about.
It's too hard.
Have you done the Bloodborne DLC?
No, I haven't. I haven't even finished Bloodborne yet.
I sustain to this day. I haven't played the latest Dark Souls 3 DLC. Shame on me. But I sustain to this day that the hardest part of any Souls game, and I would even say the hardest part of any non-8-bit, non-16-bit that I ever played, is on the Bloodborne DLC.
Really?
For the record, the final boss of that DLC, I faced with a weapon that is not good against him.
Right.
But still.
Here's the thing. I won't buy the DLC until I completed the game, and I've gone to myself, okay, I can take on whatever's next. To put in perspective,
I should probably mention that the Bloodborne DLC has this thing where a lot of things that are missing or make the main game subpar, like for example build variety, weapon variety, stuff like that, is added on the DLC as a sort of fix. So if you, for example, wanted to do a magic build or a bow build or a gun build, and you feel like the game is not supplying you with the right tools, which it's very likely, especially for bow builds, or gun builds. Well, not gun, but blood tinge builds. You would probably need to go a little bit into the DLC to get the weapons and stuff that you want.
Interesting. Okay.
That's basically what they tend to do. They quote unquote not fix the game, but they take out a lot of the feedback in consideration when they made the DLCs.
That's interesting. I didn't think a DLC went that far. My assumption was it was just like you get a few extra bits of lore here and there.
Oh no,
new bosses maybe.
It's like
that sounds like a rehash almost. That
sounds sick. It's like a full extra side story of stuff that happened like before that complements the main story perfectly. Good. There's like 5 or so bosses and maybe even more areas and bosses. Like there's a ton of content.
That's great. I know.
Especially considering how short the main Bloodborne game is.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm over halfway. I don't remember the boss I'm up to. I know I'm stuck though. But no, it's good that the DLC sounds very similar to Witcher 3. That has insane like DLC.
I haven't played it.
Oh, dude.
But from what I gather, the Witcher 3 DLC is a little bit better than this one. But like this is right up there. Like on my general, like if I had to make a list and not because I want to, but because like I absolutely had to,
Yeah.
I would probably do the research, and I feel like I would end up with like Witcher 3, then most of the Souls/Bloodborne
Yeah.
DLC, and then it gets a little murkier.
Yeah. I mean, naturally, even though yes, I've been playing games ever since I was little, I can easily say I have not played every single game ever. So I can't be like, oh well, Witcher 3 without a doubt has the most DLC in any game ever. I know it has an exceptional amount that I haven't seen in any other game that I've played. I know it has a ridiculous amount of DLC in it, and in that DLC, incredible amounts of extra stories and whatnot. But I cannot say that without a doubt that that game, that DLC in particular, has the most DLC in any game ever. But I'm curious if you guys know anything that's that has that's base game is nowhere near as big as its DLC, or if its DLC is way bigger than the base game. I'd love to hear it, because honestly, I do think that DLC is a huge part in the game overall. I think that even yes, you can still play the game and get a feel for the world without it, but I feel like the DLC is just that little sprinkle on the top that just gives the world so much more.
Yeah, I don't know if you played too many games back in the day like that had this kind of thing, but after the 16-ish bit era and before the DLC era, we had expansions.
Yeah.
That's basically what
good old days
should be.
Good old days.
I would like to take this chance to say that please leave comments on whatever topic you want. We would really like to hear what you think about DLC and stuff, but try to keep it to like complex, interesting comments, like no stuff like, oh, I hate when they just give day one DLC, for an incomplete game. We all feel the same. We all know that stuff. Let's try to get more interesting of a conversation. And besides, we probably will eventually have a topic on DLC for this kind of, because it's an interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
Probably we will wait until an interesting piece of a game comes out for discussion.
Yeah, that caters it. Because the only real DLC I could ever talk about is the Sims DLC. And that's more of a rant than anything else, simply because, oh my goodness, there's so much, and it is ridiculous how much it all costs. You can get a literal pack that allows your Sims to go to work, as an example. You get to see them go to work and whatnot. That costs you even more than the base game alone. And you can't play the game unless you have the base game.
Yeah, Sims is famous for its DLCs and back in the day expansions that were insane. Yeah. But I think the idea is that you mix and match, you don't buy them all.
Yeah, that's true.
And besides, it's not Train Simulator that has $1,000 worth of trains and stuff.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But as you say, it's mix and match.
Not that I have anything against Train Simulator. I'm sure that's something in the lines of, say, MTG or League of Legends or stuff, where you again, buy bits and pieces you want to play with.
Yeah. Look, everyone to each their own, you do whatever you want.
But exactly.
Yeah, we're just using it as an example.
I don't remember who said this, but live and let live.
Live and let live.
The world spins on its own.
Heck yeah, my dude. Heck yeah.
We talked a little bit about it already, but my favorite game is Bloodborne.
Yeah.
It used to be, I'm going to get crucified and we're going to lose all listeners we've had up to this point for saying this, but it used to be Skyward Sword. The one Zelda game that everyone hates. And I will defend to death the motion controls in that game. The hand-holding is ridiculous. It shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And the tutorial is admittedly long, but there's good stuff in the tutorial story-wise. But the motion controls, which is the part that everyone hates, I think they were perfect. I had no problems with them. The one issue that I had is that there's this enemy that predicts where your sword is and blocks in that direction. And if you do the natural movement, I'm showing Mike with my hands, it's hard to explain without showing, but if you do the natural movement of making them put their shield in their direction and then do the V movement so that you slash them from the opposite side.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it fast, the game detects that you are attacking from that direction and bounces against the shield.
Right.
So what you gotta do is point to the direction you want them to put the shield and then do a swing away from them.
Okay.
Which makes no sense, but that's a problem with the enemy design, not the motion controls. And you can fix it by improving the motion controls by adding a button and stuff like that, but I don't think that's a flaw of the motion controls. It's just
more in terms of the animation itself.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just that motion controls are not designed for that.
That's interesting because
but for the record, I know I use the word perfect, but I don't mean to say that the controls can't be improved. I just think they don't really have flaws.
Absolutely.
Like, they're not terrible, they're not bad, they're good. They're very much playable. You just gotta pay attention. I will give this to you guys. Understanding the way they explain the controllers to you, it's impossible because, and this happens with a lot of Wii games, the way they show you the controllers on the screen is really hard to understand. But once you wrap your hand around the idea of having the sword in your hand and the way it rotates, you rotate your hand matters, you suddenly start to get it like super easily, and everything makes sense except the shield guides.
See, yeah, that's interesting, but it also does. I think I can understand it from the perspective of those who had troubles with it. Mostly because, like, if they do play it how you said, it kind of feels like it'd be a very restricted sort of game, like in the sense that you'd have to swing strategically, which is fine, but also sounds kind of robotic too. It also does sound like it's quite a chore.
I know what I make it sound like, and I think that's a flaw of that particular type of enemy.
Yeah,
which unfortunately in the later half of the game they start putting more and more enemies that do that. But in general, when the game is reduced to like either vertical slashes or horizontal slashes or stuff like that, it kind of works.
Right.
Again, I do admit that it could be better, but if you keep those things into account and pay attention to how the motion control, to how the Wiimote is rotated in your hand, you can like work your way around it without even thinking about it. And I will give it house improvement. And also I will give that it's okay if you don't like motion controls. It's okay if you didn't like those motion controls and you like others.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think the motion controls are poorly programmed.
That's fair.
Or even designed. I just think they can be better. They have been better since, like a lot, but I don't think they ruin the game at all. Now, if you think the game holds your hand way too much, that I can understand. I can put up with it, but I can totally understand it. And that is a flaw of the game. I'm really hoping right now for an HD re-release for the Switch, like a lot of people. And I'm also hoping that they fix those little hand-holdy things, and also that every time you log in, you gotta, this is a rupee. You use it to buy money and stuff. Like for half an hour every time you pick an item that you've already picked, but not in this session.
Yeah, right. It literally sounds like you're being handheld a bit.
But I branched out way too long, and what I meant to say is that my favorite game is Bloodborne. Not because of how good I think the game is, which I think it's good. I've been shown that without the DLC it's not that great because of compared to other Souls mostly, because of the lack of replay value and customization. And I know that the Chalice dungeons suck. I know that, okay? But like even without the DLC, it's still a great game. It's just not as great as other Souls games.
Yep.
But the one thing that Bloodborne does that no other game ever has done so far successfully, they've done it but not great, like they fail in a couple places, is being a Lovecraft game.
Okay.
It's by far, and I kid you not, and I'm sure the guys at Bonfire Side Chat will back me up on this one, the best Lovecraft game ever, in a world where there's actually some good games. I don't think any of them succeed well at doing Lovecraft all the way through. They fail at some point, but I feel Bloodborne does it like impeccably from beginning to end. And also the game is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing.
I hold nothing against the game. I mean, yeah, I haven't finished it, but I mean, I am playing it. I am genuinely enjoying it. It is definitely a hard game. I'm not going to deny that.
And I do understand it's not for everyone. I do understand that some people either don't have the patience or have the patience but don't like games where it's like trying again.
Yeah.
Like it may feel mindless to some people. I do understand that.
Yeah.
By the same token, I do understand that some people don't like to think through turn-based combat systems.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to segue into that, but you pretty much covered what I was going to say. But I also remember when I first picked up Bloodborne, my big brother was when he introduced it to me. And he goes, you really should play it. It's like a really good game. And I had the exact issue that you mentioned earlier where I went, okay, I keep playing, I keep dying, and I get that it's a game about remembrance and trying to find ways around problems that you've already encountered. And I remember going like, there's no way that the payoff is worth all this torment. But then once you actually go through the when you make your run and you defeat all the enemies there and you get past everything, the rush, the adrenaline is incredible.
Yeah,
I remember even when you play Dark Souls, same thing.
That feeling right there is what Miyazaki himself has said that the Soul series is about.
Yeah. It's just, it feels so good when like you've completed a run and you're looking back like, was there anything else? I can't remember. Is that everything? Then it's like getting an assignment done at university example. You
finally killed the boss.
Yeah, once you've submitted your assignment, you're like, wow, that feels good.
Yep. Suddenly you feel like you're Deku.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's and for the record, that's not even the reason why I like this game so much. I just like how well designed they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also for the record, the difficulty is super overblown. Whenever everyone says how difficult the game is, take that, divide it by 10, and that's the actual difficulty of the game.
Yeah, I've noticed that like it's difficult for me personally because I haven't played a game like that.
Also, Bloodborne has the highest early barriers because I feel like Father Gascoigne, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. In fact, I'm interested in French, so if you know, please let me know. Father Gascoigne, I feel it's like the most brick wall first boss for a new player into the series.
Yeah, right.
Like veterans can kill it, no problem. It's like a regular first boss, but for a new player, for someone who hasn't played any of those games before, especially if they don't face the optional boss that is before him, I feel like it's a gigantic brick wall.
Yeah, right.
There are harder first bosses, obviously, but I think it has to do a lot with the fact that you don't have a shield.
I think it's just such a fitting way to throw you in.
Yeah,
I think.
And there's also this idea that, obviously, because you're a new player, you won't be 100% familiar with all the mechanics of the game you can use to defeat the boss.
Absolutely not.
So, yeah, as a Dark Souls player, you probably know that you can parry, and you probably know that you can parry this guy with your gun, and you probably can figure out the parry window in 2 or 3 tries.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard without reference.
But a new player will not know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, actually, this is going to sound really stupid, but I only just recently realized that, like, that game is based in the Gothic London, right?
Not exactly London, but I get what you mean. But the idea is indeed that. Sorry, I should have mentioned that it was a spoiler that the game is Lovecraft based, and it's the biggest spoiler. I like to keep people from game, but everyone knows it already.
Yeah,
and it annoys me a little bit. But the point is that the game kind of wants you to think it's Victorian horror, only to pull the rug from under you and show you no, it's actually Lovecraft.
Okay, that's interesting. Because
also, if you come in the comments and say that it's just an alien invasion, I will kill you. I will fund you and kill you.
Well,
kidding, of course.
Well,
of course. Now the comments are all gonna be. It's just an invasion.
That's if they've heard this far in. It's been a good thought. It's been a long one.
It hasn't been that long actually. Well, maybe now it has been. We are 40 minutes in.
Fun fact: I noticed your wallpaper on your phone, and I have something very similar. Again, I was watching the rebuilds, so.
And I will probably try to find a picture online and put it on the video here.
I couldn't help myself, man. It's just so good.
But it's basically we both have Evangelion wallpapers.
And they're both Unit 1.
Yeah. Well, it's like the icon.
Yeah. That's actually interesting too. Evangelion was the first time I ever watched. Yeah. Crazy that.
I don't think it's the first one I've ever watched.
Really?
But it was one of the first 10 or so that I knew was anime. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yep. No, I get that.
I don't know if I could say which one was the first one I ever watched because I know I watched a couple before knowing what anime was.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Just as quote-unquote cartoons.
Yeah.
And for the record, I'm not super picky about differentiating cartoons and anime. I don't think there's like... I do get there's an intentional difference, but you can make silly, nonsensical anime and you can make serious, interesting cartoons.
That's true. No, that's true.
Much distance.
No, absolutely. I mean, example being Amazing Modern Gumball, though it sounds very childish and is a cartoon.
It's very insightful and like it's very adult humor.
Very, very. I mean, I was
without being like child unfriendly. It's like the kind of thing you can watch with a kid and you will both get something.
Yeah. Look, like the show itself was literally making day-to-day references about white knighting on the internet. It actually made a really, really, really clever joke that aspired from the internet. Like back in the day of creepypasta, when that was such a big thing.
Oh yeah,
You remember
watch this
creepypasta
episode.
then? Yeah, I remember there was this huge creepypasta at the time called the lost episode of the Mason God of Gumball titled The Grieving. The Gumball show literally took
Reference that.
and like made an almost like they didn't make the episode because it consists of Ananias' head being decapitated and a bunch of organs, but that's not going to be on Cartoon Network. But they literally introduced this really creepy idea of this episode called The Grieving and completely trolled the audience.
Yeah, they told you that
With
it
the-
could be
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
but it was such a clever thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
it's
brilliant.
It's a brilliant
I
show.
remember the moment I realized. I always knew, like I always enjoyed it, but the moment I realized how, I don't want to say meta because that feels a little bit too YouTube.
You mean open-ended almost?
No, like self-aware or
Yep.
up to date with the internet.
Absolutely.
The show is they were like looking for something online, and they kept getting distracted. And at one point, they started looking at videos of little puppies.
Yeah, and it just
then they
kept
were like-
going and transpiring.
And
Yeah.
then one goes, "Oh my god, it's so cute! Like close it! It's so cute! It's making me fat!" And they suddenly start like bumping up. And I felt so identified. I lost my shit.
Yeah, dude. Like the show just does wonders, honestly. I think it's so sad that it's been completely pitched as like a completely childish show because of its visuals. But
I think it has a little like. I don't think it is. Like I don't think it's pitched that way because I think it's just pitched as a love letter to cartoons in general.
I think the fact that I use pictures wrong, like I don't mean like the creators themselves are going like this is a child
How
show.
people see it.
I think it's exactly how when it's appeared on the internet, people go, "There's a blue cat and some octopus looking fella." He's a
But
fish though.
I feel like people are like, I get you. That happens a lot with like, I don't want to say adult cartoons because that's essentially Ren and Stimpy, but cartoons in general.
Yeah.
All ages cartoons. Let's say, because there's a difference between children cartoons and all ages cartoons.
Yep.
And I feel like it's happening less and less because, and I don't want to, like, saying this makes me feel a little bit pedantic,
Okay.
but I feel like anime has a lot of to do with that because it's gotten a lot of people to really, really like animation more, and also society too, because nowadays I think society is more open to having people that just are like, I grew up with cartoons, so I just love cartoons.
That's
If that makes
interesting.
sense.
Yeah, that's
Even if it's a
interesting.
childish thing, which is not. Well, it doesn't have to be. And I think that's why now we get stuff like Steven Universe on children's channels,
Mhm.
which is like the freaking best TV show ever aired on a children's channel. And I had to add the last line because I'm now thinking of BoJack Horseman.
Oh yeah, I was literally thinking to myself like, there are shows like BoJack Horseman. What's it called? You have what's it called? Oh my gosh, I watched so much of it.
What is it about?
It's a very, very mature show. I think it's spy related. No, it's Archer. What am I thinking about? Yeah,
Archer.
like, just like Archer as an example.
Yeah,
like,
Archer's good.
Very, very, very mature
Yeah,
content.
but see, that's why I added those, because now
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
getting into the realm of cartoons or animations that are exclusively for adults.
Yeah.
Well, mostly. Like I've heard of 7-year-olds who watch BoJack Horseman with their parents and properly understand it. Of course, they have her leave the room for like sexy scenes and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like that. But now that we're talking about it, BoJack Horseman is by far the best piece of writing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot.
I take it that like it's sort of comedies like your alley.
It's not, the comedy is good. Like I don't know if it's my alley. I'm like very open to comedy. Like I'm the kind of person who can enjoy practically any kind of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard for me to laugh out loud unless I'm with someone who's laughing. Like it has to be really, really, really funny for me to like
Explode.
to externalize it, because I'm laughing on the inside, but to externalize it. But the thing is, BoJack Horseman, even if you take away the comedy, is so honest and mature, and exploratory. Like, it makes you feel for, like, the main character is literally a piece of shit who ruins his own life and think it's like just the way he is and has no option, which he actually does.
Yeah.
But they make him so relatable. They make, like, this guy. This is getting a little bit more mature. I don't know who's listening. I don't know what kind of audience you have.
Okay.
But this is a guy who literally sleeps with someone like 40 years younger than him on the show, or almost does so. And they still make him relatable. They still make him human. And like, it's hard to explain, but the writing is so powerful.
I think it's more because you mentioned that one of the big things about the character that's interesting are the faults in the character. I think it's literally in faults of people that create the said relatability. You know, like, no human is perfect naturally.
Yeah.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, and
I think BoJack completely illustrates that and says,
but he also makes it like, it makes you root for him.
Yeah.
It makes you
I agree with
it
that.
makes you want him to find happiness, even if he self-destroys it every time. But I think you got a very good point. Like, it's much more interesting to have a hero with flaws than a perfect hero who you can project onto. It's the difference between Kirito
I was literally about to say,
and
like,
Deku.
anime needs to take a lesson from My Hero Academia.
I think they have. I think there's a lot of great heroes. I think who needs to take a lesson from My Hero Academia is anime fans.
That's a big thing to say.
Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who aren't like that. I am sure most of the people listening right now are super cool guys who, even if they like stuff like that, they're cool about it. They don't trash on other people's toys. But my point is, there's a lot of people out there who actually think that OP projectable characters that make you feel like you're like, they make you escape to a fantasy where you are identified with a god character are actually better than flawed human beings, when actually reality is flawed human beings are better. Like, they're much more interesting and they're much more relatable.
I mean, yeah, like, sure, everyone's gonna have their own taste, they can be into whatever they want, and that's fine and all, but it's, I personally agree in the sense that a character is so much more interesting when there are flaws in them, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I think an anime that really was off-putting to me that I watched last year, that it got a fair amount of praise, but I mean, most people that watched it also agreed that when you have a character that's so bland, OP, and just doesn't really have any sense of moral, it kind of throws off a story. Like, I watched this show called...
You can do stuff with those characters, but you can't have them be the hero. It's hard to explain, but you can do Kirito, where it's literally an escapist fantasy. Which, by the way, escapism is okay if you understand that it's escapism. It's like watching a popcorn movie. You know it's a silly movie.
Yeah.
But you can do interesting things. You can have characters that are just like plain and simple, but at the same time have them have like one or two things that make them relatable, or put them into settings where watching them struggle or the things is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the very fact that, well, again, it's not a very good example because he has flaws, even if they're just character based. But in One Punch Man, Saitama is super OP. But the point is that he's bored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does it purely
It's a
for
fantastic comment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if you have a character that is said OP or excels at what they do, there needs to be some kind of attribute that doesn't really stop them from doing what they like, but resides there to make them interesting. But the anime I was going to mention before was
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. It was in another world with my smartphone. Now, here's the thing. I think it's an interesting premise to say, okay, look, God made a mistake. He killed someone by accident.
No,
give him the power. Sure.
I think the idea of having him with a isekai genre is so overpopulated. But the idea of having one where the character has a smartphone that actually properly works, so he has all the power of the internet, it's fascinatingly interesting. They do nothing with it.
Yeah, I mean, but what I find most off-putting is the fact that the character doesn't have any flaws, in the sense that, like, nothing drives him. He doesn't really have any motivations as well.
He just goes
with it.
Life.
And it feels like the story isn't going anywhere. It's just a bunch of random mini events just to build a harem. Like, I don't know.
And it's not like, again, it's not that episodic things are bad. It's just that usually they have a point at least if it's a different point on each episode.
Yeah, whilst in this show, it was literally just, I've just solved the problem with summoning like 500 meteorites from the sky because I can do that because God gave me the power to do that. Like there's no dialogue between characters that make them interesting. There's no like, hey, have you watched Kekai Sensen by any chance or Blood Battle Blockade?
No, I heard about it. I think I have it in my unending, ever expanding list of watch this now. Because I actually have two lists.
Yeah,
you should watch this and watch this
right now. Yeah,
I never finish any of those.
That's fair. But with Kekai Sensen, like I love the show to bits. It's not exceptionally popular, but it's gotten good reviews. But there is this one scene in the very ending of the show. Spoiler alert. the main character, he is not necessarily a wimp, but he doesn't have anything special about him. He can see incredible. He can see like long distances or hijack people's vision with his eyes. That's his ability.
Oh, but yeah.
He doesn't like. He's not like an overpowered super boss, right?
Yeah, but it's like death game kind of show, right? It's kind of like Fate Stay Night, stuff like that.
Not really. Actually, it's
no.
It's
Which am I thinking of then?
I'm trying to think because I think there is something similar, but I'm not too sure. But in regards to Kekai Sensen, like it is a action hilarious journey. It's a fun show. But in the final scene, you're expecting to see these two people go full on at each other, right? Like you're expecting somebody who hasn't shown his full potential try to like have a huge fist fight with like this big villain, and it doesn't do that, which I thought was excellent. The main character,
it subverts expectations.
Yeah, the main character is and always has been someone who doesn't fight. He's somebody who just solves problems with what he can do, right? So this guy has a talk battle. He literally just talks some sense into somebody up above to help him take on somebody who's completely lost. Like it's an action show, but it beats somebody with pure dialogue, which I thought was incredible.
Are you saying it's an action show where things make sense?
It's an action show without fists, Martin. It's so good.
So it's a seinen.
Yeah, but
didn't you define it as a seinen?
Kind of though, because like it is still an action.
I heard you say that.
Because I mean, it's still an action. Like there's still tons of violence and blood and whatnot, but like it was in that character that there's no violence at all. Like in that character, it's just I'll get through to this person using my own voice instead of using like fists or trying to beat the truth or beat the ideals I have.
For reals.
Nice segue. Nice segue, Martin.
Nice segue. So speaking of segue, what's your experience? We may have a podcast topic on it eventually, but what's your experience with Naruto? Because there's a big age gap between us, and I also have like a strange relationship with Naruto. So I'm really interested in hearing how you feel about it.
That's a good question, solely because growing up, it was so good. Like I used to watch it on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network, so it would always appear at night. And I'd always sit with my big brother. We'd always watch it. You know, we had the games.
Your brother is how much older than you?
2 years older.
So, that's not that much.
So yeah, like him and I would always watch it. We always thought it was really good. It was funny. It was fun. It was freaking cool. Like I remember it was one of the first animes I've been introduced to. So like the fight scenes just blew me away. But this is gonna hurt a lot of people that are into it. I am not a fan anymore.
Interesting that you added the anymore.
Yeah, because the thing is, I used to love it. Like, I think I loved it up until Shippuden. I think I loved it up until it got so over convoluted with flashbacks that I was told like, skip these episodes, go on to this one. Oh, skip this episode, you don't need to go there, you can go to this one. It felt like I was battling episodes.
I can't do that. If I watch it, I had to watch the entire thing properly.
Yeah.
Which actually has been helpful because when I watch Bleach, I actually got to see the good stuff by not skipping the filler.
Interesting. I mean, well, not all fillers are terrible, but
actually, scratch that. Up to the first filler, the Band Saga. I don't know if you have watched it. The first 60 episodes or so are really good.
Yeah.
After that, everything that is not filler, and some of the fillers too, is very bad.
Fair enough. That's interesting. Because I knew.
Or more than it's very bad, it's kind of good. Like it it promises to be good, and then they screw it up.
Yeah.
And you can tell that probably the manga is better.
Fair enough.
Probably, I have no idea.
That's fair. That's an interesting point as well in terms of the manga versus anime. Here's the thing, okay, I'm not gonna talk about it for long because I know I can go on for hours, okay, but I find that manga is really good as a means of a storyboard almost for an anime. Main Abyss did just that. It's almost frame for frame like the manga. Then I'm watching contemporary anime like Tokyo Ghoul RE as an example, and that anime is playing to my favorite arc in the entire manga, and I don't know if it's doing it justice or not. I cannot tell.
Mother's Basement, a YouTube channel, has this fascinating series. He doesn't do that many episodes, but he does do one every now and then called Adapt or Die.
Yeah, I saw the right.
Where for the listeners, basically what he does is he talks about adaptations from one medium to another. Usually one of the two mediums is anime, and he explains why certain shows succeed and certain shows fail.
Yeah, he did the Erased one with the manga, live action, and anime, but he compared the two. Yeah, so interesting.
But the thing is, adaptation is like that, and I think, hopefully, I'm about to blow your mind.
Okay, bring it.
This manga is a good storyboard for anime thing. It's only really a thing right now. 10, maybe a little bit more, 15 years ago, let's say between 11 and 14 years ago, most anime that came out of manga were terrible.
Right.
Usually, it's not a hard and fast rule, okay? Like, there's a million exceptions, but in general, you know how when people today hear, oh, and it's based on a light novel, and they go, oh. Well, it used to be backwards. It used to be that when you heard based on a manga, you were like, it's just gonna be one more show that is trying to promote the manga, and the manga is actually the good things, and you will see little things here and there, but in reality, you will have no payoff ever.
Right.
And like, for example, if it was My Hero Academia back then, we would still be in the first saga where Deku's training, or like right after he finishes training. The first episode would be him getting into UA, and the next 100 episodes would be him in UA in the first semester or so, just having daily things, most of the week things.
You mentioned something sorry, I'm going to cut you off. You mentioned something so interesting to me that I didn't even think about. The idea that, yeah, if anime is based on the manga, and then let's say it abruptly ends at some point, like, it literally almost feels like they're kicking you in the face saying, if you want to know more, read the manga. It's almost like an advert.
It's because...
interesting.
What I wanted to finish with is that it used to be, back in those days, that anime based on light novels was actually the good stuff, because it was basically like a visual novel a season, and they felt like complete coherent stories.
Whilst with the adaptations to manga, it's never completed anime.
And visual novels, because they were such an open media, you didn't need to be an artist, were like the media where you found the most unique and interesting things.
Yeah.
Well, now they're just a media for like isekai. But I get what you, like, yes, that's a little bit of it. For a while they used, because realistically, the way they decide whether or not an anime will be made, manga will be made into anime is it a good fit? Will it be popular with a very different demographic, which is because they know it's a different demographic for manga than for anime?
Mm-hmm.
And is the manga popular enough? And sometimes it's just a cash in. Like, that's what it used to be. It used to be a cash in. It used to be, this manga is popular, the fans will want to watch the anime, and the people who have listened of it will watch it. So we'll just make it, pump it out, money. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's just a shameless cash grab. I'm saying that was the thought process. But it's kind of switched around a little bit, and it may just be because it's not that manga used to be bad or anything. It's just, I feel like manga now is either better or lends itself more to long-term stories.
Yeah, fair enough.
This may also, like, obviously this is exceedingly common even now with shonen, and I think a lot of that has to do with how Shonen Jump works.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a completely separate topic.
Yeah. They tend to draw on as many arcs as they can without moving the story too much. But I don't know. Sometimes it works.
They don't mind. I don't know if you were talking about Shonen Jump, but they don't mind the story moving forward. But they don't want it to finish.
That's a way better way to put it.
There's a lot like Berserk. Just for one, there's a million manga out there that never finished because when the author wanted it to, well, Berserk is not this case, but when the author wanted it to, the editorial didn't want it to end because it was popular, and then the author just like burned out.
Yeah, no, that's
and now they don't want to finish it, and it's like very common, very understandable. What can you do?
That's rough though, isn't it? Like, you know, you come up with your own great original idea. But then, yeah, once it's on the market, you know, it's not in your hands anymore. It's scary to think about.
I do think you can, like, have your cake and eat it too as an author. But I do understand when it doesn't happen because, you know, creative endeavors are really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of creative endeavors, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started on YouTube? I'm kind of curious. You told us a little bit already, but...
Right.
When you got your first couple of viewers, when you decided what kind of YouTuber you wanted to be. I don't have much to talk about in that area, but I'm interested in hearing you.
Yeah, by all means. So I'll first start with Slushy Complex's creation. That was the, in case you guys remember, that was the channel that I mentioned before I started the Mega Pickle channel. That was the group channel I was going to make with some other friends. Initially, we planned to make a group channel because back in year 8, our way of relieving stress was to watch YouTubers like Node and we'd watch Yogscast. You know, we'd see all these group channels do some interesting things, and we thought it'd be so cool to kind of start our own. So initially, we were influenced by those kind of content creators that work together to create something. But yeah, sadly, I was the only person who ever uploaded to that channel, and I just thought, and they all thought, you know, well, we had an idea, but we all can't contribute to it, so we parted ways. And then I remember I was playing Mad Father, which was an RPG horror game, which I think kickstarted the reason why I love RPG horror so much.
Interesting.
Hence the playthrough for Angels of Death, which I cannot wait to continue. It's so much fun.
I'm sure there are some listeners who can play that.
It's amazing. I've already played like an hour. Anyway. Yeah, so I was playing Mad Father back when it first came out. Like, I played it initially because I was like, oh, YouTubers are playing this, so I might just play it for fun for myself, right? And I was one of the very first people to complete it by collecting all the bonus gems in it to unlock a secret ending. I was one of the very first people to do it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I might just record this for the fun of it. That has 35,000 views. And it kills me to think that is my most popular video.
I just mouthed a wow.
And it was there that like people started subscribing. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was like, you know, it's not really my content. I just recorded something and uploaded. It's not what I did. And then, you know, later on, I was like, I feel like making a video, like just for the sake of it.
I think it was MadPat from Game Theory that said this, but what people will latch onto is your individual personality.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed in the second video I made. I made this video called Make a Bigger Place Sonic.exe. Don't remind me of how bad that was. The lighting was awful. Don't get me started about the audio being out of sync.
Dude, I just make a freaking shitty... I hope no dealer listens to this, but I just made a freaking shitty assignment. and it was like 3-4 hours late, so...
Oh, it's just dynamic effects?
Yeah, again.
Let's not talk about dynamic effects.
I'm so scared of talking to the teachers about this one.
It's okay. I'm comforting Martin right now.
It will be fine. Thank you.
But yeah, and after I made that video, at the time I thought it was amazing. I thought I'd put a lot of effort into it. Didn't get too much feedback. Some people were like, that was pretty funny. That was a cool game. You should try this one out instead. And like, I wasn't feeling it too much. And then I met him, my boy. So I talk about him a lot in the channel. CPK. He's almost at 500,000 subs right now, which is really cool. I met him back when he had 900 subs. And I remember he played a game.
Wait. 900? No, 900. Like.
No, 900. He was tiny.
To a million?
To almost a million. He's 500,000. Yeah, mental.
Well, tell you what, when he gets to a million, and he probably will, we can do something here. I don't know. I'll think of something.
Yeah, I'd love to celebrate for him. I remember he was playing a game that I was recommended, and I was like, oh, this guy is really interesting. I thought he was cool. He was wearing a cow onesie at the time, which is what kindled my love for onesies.
Every time you say the word Kindle, you kindle my heart.
Martin, not
No, it's not US Dark Souls.
There we go.
Because every time you do, I think, oh, he's making a reference. Oh no, wait, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Obviously, he's not. It's just it's like a gut reaction because I listened to the Bonfire Side Chat podcast, and they like constantly do that stuff. So I'm like conditioned to it.
Yeah, no. I think it's cool that a content creator can like segue his language to a game. That's pretty sick. Right, but yeah. So I found CPK. I thought his content was interesting. I thought the onesie was a cool little touch. He doesn't always wear it. He just wore it in that one video. And I was like, huh.
That explains everything.
Yeah. That was my reasoning for originally wearing it. But then I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a video and see how it goes. I played the same game he did. And the feedback was insane. The feedback was like people going, that was really funny. You should do more. And I thought like, wow. I mean, yeah, that's a person somewhere across the internet, but that literally feels like someone just pat me on the head.
Hey guys, because I think this too. If you're listening, comment telling us how funny you think Mike is.
It better be nice, and if it isn't, then get off my channel.
Okay, scratch that. Don't comment anything.
I have to shape my audience to my will. It's the only way. But I remember...
That's all you.
It really is. But yeah, I remember like the feedback on that was so nice. I was like, oh, I'm going to try it again. And then it kind of kept feeding into this mentality that like, if I make videos, people will accept me. But then after a while, when I started realizing that like,
it was just a psychological thing. It's not healthy.
And it was just like a fun thing to do. I went, man, I'm just going to do this for the sake of doing it. And ever since then, I haven't stopped.
Well, and that's a little bit why we're doing this right now here, right? Because I have this thing, I feel like I'm a people pleaser. I'm very, very weary of that because I hate when I realize that I'm doing something just not necessarily to get people to like me, but to get people to agree with me.
Right.
And I hate that because I really want to be more liberal with that stuff.
Yeah, fair.
But at the same time, sometimes what I realize is that sometimes it's not that I or you or whoever wants people to agree with them, to accept them. It's more that you want to talk to someone.
Yeah.
The need of having someone to listen and or to interact with is like an actual normal proper
Absolutely.
thing. And that's a little bit why we're doing this, because it's an outlet.
Yeah. I mean, literally my motivation for why we're doing this is simply like I have thoughts regarding anime or thoughts regarding gaming, thoughts regarding content in general. Like, I just want to let them out, but I never found a platform to do that. Not that YouTube is restricting. But
it is.
Not that my channel was like condensed to be this one thing.
But it is. I'm not kidding.
No, but I personally love consistency. I like the idea of going, okay,
it's just
this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. But it feels good being able to just kind of freely talk like this as an example. Not really care how things turn out. Just talk. I think it's just so much fun to just talk.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm enjoying this a lot.
Yeah, and that's kind of the fun of this podcast as opposed to like doing a let's play or stuff like that, because those things are like super fun too. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes you just want to like sit, chat, be you.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that one is like you or I or anyone is like insincere when they are like playing video games for show.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's people who are, but it's like a small minority. But it's different. It's like being with your friends on a table versus being on stage.
That's true.
Anyone who's ever been on stage probably understands this. When you're the you that is an entertainer, that's still you, but it's not the same as just relaxing and chatting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Look, this is going to get a little bit... I mean, yeah, it's a catch up, so we can kind of break some rules here. Getting a bit personal, I've been doing the whole Challenge Master thing as an example, right? I remember being on stage and like, I thought it was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. We had a good production crew. It was all great and all. But the Michael on stage is definitely not the real me. That was a person.
Oh, obviously.
That was a person wearing a suit, laughing at people. That's
a different thing, because there you're actually playing a character. You're not just showman Michael. You're the character Michael.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like sometimes it's so easy to get lost in that, which is why I think that doing YouTube and doing podcasts, as example, is really good because, like, though yes, my name is Mickle Pickle on YouTube.
I can't believe you don't play D&D.
Oh, I do. I am so bad at it.
Yeah, you told me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry. No one is ever good at D&D for like at least 10 years.
It's more like every character I make is so simplistic that I can't explore.
By the way, guys, this is officially on topic with the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
If you don't want to listen about D&D because it's not something you're interested in, I'm sorry. If you want to listen to it but know nothing about it, that's awesome. We will try to keep you like up to the pace of the conversation.
Yeah.
And if you play D&D, share in the comments. Actually, I'm interested.
Well, like, I mean, if people who haven't played D&D before, I think you guys actually kind of resonate with me on this because, like, I make characters that are so simple in the sense that my last character was a bear called Theodore Paddington, right?
Okay.
Do you know how hard it is to role play as a bear? And when none of your teammates speak bear and you're forced to just nod and agree with whatever they do, one being one of my friends going, I'm going to turn you into a demon bear and we're going to rule the world. What was I supposed? I can't respond to that. I'm a freaking bear, for God's sakes.
You know, you could have just played a werebear.
I could have just played a bear that can speak. If I said my bear speaks English to my DM.
Oh, you did it on purpose?
I didn't think about it, but he's the sort of person, the DM, that'd be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'll work it in somehow.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I'm going to be a bear. His name is Theodore Paddington and he wears boots. And that's all I got. I got a bear that wears boots, almost became a demon bear, and is now part of a religious cult.
What the... See, this is why I love D&D.
I'm not good in D&D, man.
This is what I love about D&D. I have a character in one of my campaigns that they were trying to escape from a Yuan-Ti prison, which, if you don't know, is like snake people.
Right.
And they were climbing up a wall because they thought they couldn't get past the two guards at the end of the hallway.
Okay.
Which, in all honesty, they probably couldn't, unless they got like some creative solutions. And then the guards noticed them. But instead of going for them, they started shooting arrows. It just so happens that the arrows had poison.
Oh, no.
So what happened is that I don't know if it was two different guys or the same person twice. I think it was two different guys. Got shot, fell off the wall, which was very high.
Oh, no.
One of them got caught in the air by like this super strong chick they have in the party.
Yeah.
The other one just fell and everyone could hear the sounds of bones breaking and just died right on the spot. For like 3 or 4 sessions, he was a ghost and he couldn't really communicate with everyone, maybe whisper little things into their ears. When they finally resurrected him, the ritual was partially incomplete.
Oh, no.
So now they're on a quest to get the materials, and in the meantime, he's all like rotting, losing little bits and pieces. And at one point, they turned out and he was eating a corpse.
Of course he was.
Of course he was.
I remember one time, I'm going to try not use names because I respect privacy and whatnot, but a friend of mine who recently broke up with his girlfriend, we all came and played D&D together for the sake of cheering them up, right? The Dungeon Master was having none of that.
Wow.
So what happened was there was...
I'm sorry, but your DM so far sounds a little bit like a dick.
Oh no, he's funny. No, he's funny.
Cool.
Like, when I say he wasn't having any of that, like this story makes more sense. So basically, the person who had broken up with his girlfriend, I'll call him Danny for now. Okay.
Yeah.
Danny. He was sneaking into a huge kingdom brigade, right? He was like, I want to get some armor, but I want to still be like not a bad character, but like a neutral one. So he was like, I'm going to try to steal without killing anybody, right? There's this female sitting on this tower. She's a guard, right? And what Danny does, he goes, I want to shoot like a sleep dart at her. And the master's like, yeah, sure, no worries. It works. She falls off the building, breaks her leg and neck, And that
I'm making faces.
And that female's name was after the ex-girlfriend of Danny.
That actually sounds a little bit cathartic.
It was it caught me off guard because I was,
Don't fight with your exes, but that sounds cathartic.
it caught me off guard, but I was like, you know what? If it's a coping mechanism, by all means. Yeah, Danny sat there like looking at us all with like the craziest eyes, like I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't know that was my girlfriend.
Oh, poor guy.
Killed me. I had been like laughing my ass off, like, oh, that's genius. But it was
Well, you know, time heals everything.
yeah. Oh, they're cool now. Like they talk plentiful here and there.
Oh, okay.
It was a healthy relationship. It was a healthy breakup, but like, yeah, it was like a few days
Yeah,
after.
I just meant that he could have probably gotten over it eventually.
Oh yeah, no, he's going.
Well, we were talking about the D&D stories. I once had I DM a lot. I mostly DM.
Oh, okay.
I once had a party of my friends, and there was this guy who was playing a barbarian,
Okay.
and they were going through basically what amounted to a gigantic sewer system
Yeah.
where there was a hydra. Because it was a gigantic system.
Right.
Because it was made specifically to hold the pet of the king, which was a hydra.
Okay.
And at one point, I don't know what they defeated, I think rat people or something like that. And they started taking all the bows and armors and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I didn't think of any of it because they usually sell that stuff.
Right.
I don't like it. And sometimes I try to put little poles in their wheels so that they don't.
Yeah, fair enough.
But sometimes it's kind of fun.
Yeah. They don't like the resistance.
A couple, like I mentioned, it was big, so it was really tall walls. They turned around the corner, and there was a bunch of fire beetles walking on the walls, just
Right.
spitting fire at them. And I think there was a mage or a warlock or something like that, and one or two rangers, and everyone started missing the range attacks. And the barbarian was just sitting there, not doing nothing, because he was a grappler. He was like a wrestler.
Right.
So he had nothing to do. So he, after everyone misses, he went, I'm gonna teach you all how you actually do ranged attacks.
Oh
He
dear.
pulled the bow and threw it at the beetle. And the worst part is he killed the beetle.
That's great.
It was amazing.
You guys sounds like me.
Yeah. Sounds
Don't get me started on
a
that.
little bit like you, but he's very, very, I want to say chaotic funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so we're an hour 20. I
Yeah,
think
right.
we're pretty good for now.
Cool.
Anything you want to say before we close up?
Yeah, I guess just for final reassurance sake, if you guys are still here, which we'd appreciate, which is phenomenal, it means so much to us.
Thank you so much.
We do want your input in regards to certain topics you want us to cover, as well as one of the big things. It's mostly for my sake because I want to make sure that I'm on top of it. If you would like a separate channel for this content, or if you want it on the Mikamiku channel, either is fine. There's no trouble for us. But it would help me in terms of I can organize my content and know what goes on where. Another thing, please check out Say Stuff. You said you haven't been on Twitch in a while. I do remember catching.
No, I just haven't had time to stream consistently.
Yeah, right. Because I remember I used to watch when you were playing. I think you were playing Bloodborne at the time when I first found you. No,
I was playing Bloodborne because I was between games.
It was Bloodborne.
Yeah, and I remember a couple comments and all. I was between games. I was playing the DLC, in fact.
Oh, right.
I was between games. I was trying to figure out what to play next, and I just played Bloodborne too because every 3 hours I feel like playing Bloodborne.
Fair enough.
But speaking of the feedback thing, I would like you guys to actually let us know if there's a podcast platform that you would want these episodes to be on, so you can listen to them on the bus, on your phone, while you're around the house and stuff. Please tell us now.
Yeah,
please
absolutely.
tell us whatever platform you would want now. I can't guarantee that we will get into every single one of those because I haven't really I've done other podcasts before, but I'm usually just the editor. So I not super familiar with that, but we'll try to get them into whatever platform we can that you guys recommend.
We'll absolutely make it as accessible as possible. It's all a matter of what suits you guys best, and we'll expand it out as much as we can.
I would now probably tell you to check out Mike, except that we are probably
You're share the channel. Thanks for being here, fellas. Appreciate it.
But nonetheless, where can people find you? Like, not only your YouTube, but other places too?
On my Twitter, and I will be starting Twitch again sometime soon under Micklepickle, just as it is, MICKELLPICKELL. This is sound kind of crazy, but you know what? I'm going to put it out anyway. Feel free to follow me on Snapchat as well. It's not a great idea, seeing as sort of stuff I put on there is very unorthodox, but it's there under the same name, Micklepickle. No spaces.
And for the record, there is the Micklepickle.
Correct.
In which ones?
In my Twitter, it is just Micklepickle. On YouTube, it is the Micklepickle.
Yep.
And on Twitch, it is just Micklepickle.
Great. And I will try to put all of that into the proper screen if you're watching this on YouTube. And you can find me at SayStuff in Twitter. That is SEYSTUFF. And twitch.tv/SayStuff. Hopefully. Until then, I've been SayStuff.
I've been Micklepickle. Thanks for joining us, fellas.
See you later.